We've got Chris on technical, Neil on insight, and Steve in the driving seat. It's Talking Formula One.
Is there actually going to be an intro, or do we...
I think we're live.
Fellas, there was an intro. I don't know why it didn't play your end, but there was. You're live. Away you go. Sorry.
We're live. There we go. This is just like in the pros. Just like in the pros. It's been a minute. I was just staring at a screen wondering what the hell's going on. Hi, welcome to Talking Formula One with me, Steve and Chris. How are you doing, Chris?
I'm all right. A bit bunged up, but we're all right.
But your man flu season.
Yeah, very much so.
It is well and truly upon us. Well, I don't even know where we start after the Las Vegas Grand Prix. It seemed to be, in the bag really for Lando, didn't it? Second place to Max Verstappen on the road, of course, but a matter of hours after the Grand Prix.
Yeah.
Breaking news: both McLarens were risking disqualification. A double McLaren DSQ through skid plank wear. What an awful end to the weekend for them.
Yeah.
I mean, for a neutral, it has certainly spiced up the last two races, but what do you make of that, Chris?
Very surprising with McLaren. You wouldn't. There's been no inkling throughout the whole of the season that McLaren have struggled with or being even close to skid wear. Apparently, Brazil they were quite close. But yeah, that was surprising. I went back to have a little nap as the cricket had finished, so I had no reason to be up. And then woke up to that news that they were referred to the stewards, but being referred to the stewards is automatic slam dunk when it comes to plank wear, as we've seen with Hamilton earlier on in the season in China. Obviously the Andrea Stella's had an interview today explaining his way. I mean, he used a lot of big words to try and confuse people, but in essence, they didn't expect it porpoise as much. I mean, we're back in 2022. Said it was track specific.
Most of the days.
Yeah, track specific, up and vertical oscillation. Okay. What he kept saying, vertical oscillation.
Bouncing.
Yeah. And they didn't. Wow. They couldn't. They caught it too late on Lando, but managed to tell him to obviously lift and coast a lot more. That's why he was so slow. But Oscar had a sensor issue, so they didn't realise on Oscar's until literally too late.
Oh no! This is like I say, if you're not a Lando Norris or an Oscar Piastri fan, it has certainly spiced things up. But I think McLaren will still be strong as they head into Qatar and Abu Dhabi. Probably one of the strongest teams. But it was shocking, wasn't it? Because they've done everything. Well, Lando in particular, apart from losing the lead at turn one, had done pretty much everything right. It was a decent fight back from him. He just tries to play Max his own game at the start. Excuse me.
That was a strange turn one already. He was never making that corner at the angle he went in.
No, because he came across with good defending. He's been very aggressive, very Max Verstappen. And then suddenly he's run wide, and Max and George have gone through.
Ordinarily, you'd expect him to cut Max off and then go right and swing in a little bit, but he never did. He just went straight at the weirdest of angles on the apex. He was never making that corner, and then he broke too late as well.
It was the win had gone by turn one. There was no way he was going to catch Max. So second place was decent. It was a good bit of damage limitation there.
Yeah, I don't think they were going to beat Max. Actually, I think Max was pretty quick on the Sunday. I think the one person actually Lando I think is thankful for was Kimi Antonelli's little false start that no one can seem to find out what it was given for.
Yeah,
because he was rapid. Kimi Antonelli, they they binned off soft tyre race at Rocky, and he was able to run on that hard the whole race, and that just didn't degrade.
No, Kimi had a really good race, didn't he? He was catching George at the end, made his tyres last. It was a brilliant little drive from Antonelli, considering how far down he started as well, and obviously the penalty because of that very, very slight jump start. It wasn't a jump start; it was just moving, wasn't it, before the lights went out?
Because of
they showed a
Bortoletto,
really slow replay after the race, and you can see it.
Yeah. He did. I've looked at it. I can't really see when full starts. Normally they're blatant, but I couldn't really see one really, if I'm honest. But after Bortoletto's bowling ball incident, he was even further behind. So
yeah. Bortoletto channeling his inner Valtteri Bottas from Hungary 2021 there. Absolutely yeeted it into Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll out of the race. He's having a disappointing end to the season, isn't he, really, Bortoletto? Mid of the season, he was doing really, really well.
Yeah.
But the past couple of races, obviously Brazil, disappointing. Last Sunday, disappointing. He needs to have a couple of strong races in Qatar and Abu Dhabi.
It's feeling very, very Colapinto-esque from last year, isn't it? He had 6 or 7 real solid races in the middle. And he's just tailed off for the last 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Which Colapinto did, didn't he? He had that, let's just hope he doesn't do a Colapinto and have. Obviously, Colapinto lost his drive, but when Colapinto's come back in, it's taken him a good 10 races to even get anywhere near anybody's speed. So let's hope that start next year he's learned a lot and doesn't have just this the way the season's gone. It feels a bit like the Colapinto where he had a brilliant start and then is tailed off. But maybe that's just I don't know. Who knows? But it'll be fine anyway.
No, it's very Colapinto-esque, isn't it? Going back to the McLaren bombshell. Is this worse, do you think? Is it worse for Lando? Do you think it's worse for Oscar?
Oh, Oscar. Oscar needed every point he can get over Max. Simple as that. Because I think he's lost 105 points in 6-7 races or something silly. Lando just has to beat Max twice, really. Oh, hello.
Not even that.
Yeah, well, yeah. Win the sprint, just finish ahead of Max for 2. It's sprint race and the race. He's and Oscar obviously he's world champion. It doesn't really change too much for Lando. Whereas Oscar now is completely derailed his whole championship.
That's it. He's gone from being so far ahead, over 100 points ahead of Max Verstappen, to being equal on points with him. So he was at one point, we've said it before, Zandvoort, he was in a commanding position in this championship. Lando was just DNF'd. Oscar won. And people were saying, that's it. Oscar's championship to lose now. Unless something terrible happens, he's got this championship. And suddenly he might not even finish second. The form that Max is on and the form that Lando is on compared to the form that Oscar is on. It's very mentally destroying for him.
Oscar will finish 3rd in a 2-horse race. He generally will. I can't see him beating Max.
Shocking. It is so shocking because he was in control, and Lando for the past few races obviously has been the informed driver, sort of coinciding with Oscar's drop off. But he was still looking like he was going to finish second. He's going to finish 3rd if it carries on like this.
I was having a chat the other day with a friend, and I was saying that it almost felt that the middle of the season, having such a slump for Lando, made him so much a better driver. He learned so much from that, whereas Oscar's not had that this season, and the only time he's had that adversity is too late. He's run out of time to recover, or it's gone on a little bit too long. Whereas Lando was only a couple of races when it was 2 or 3 races where he was abject really for what he was doing. but then he recovered and he had half the season to sort himself out, and he's him and Max have been the best drivers on the grid. Whereas Oscar sailed through 3/4 of the season, got to Baku, had a donkey weekend, and has sort of just gone has literally shit his pants. Yeah.
It's incredible, isn't it? Because you had the sort of, like you say, that point in the season where Lando crashed into the back of Oscar in Canada. He had a couple of disappointing races. He was well off the pace of Oscar. And everyone was saying, well, this, Lando's, is he strong enough? Has he mentally got it to be champion, to catch up? And he's just gone on this absolutely unbelievable run. So dominant in Mexico. A great drive in Qatar. He just needed to get past Charles Leclerc quicker than he did.
Yeah.
And Oscar's been nowhere. And I feel bad for Oscar, but his interviews after Las Vegas, like he was in tears. Because he knows the championship's gone. He's 24 points behind Lando. 2 races to go plus a sprint. And he's just well off the pace. There seems to be that he's got no answer. Because he's not been on the podium in such a long time now. And Max must be rubbing his hands together.
And he didn't look like he was troubling the podium either at Vegas, was he? The top 3, well, and Antonelli was quick. But Charlie Leclerc was giving him a good run for his money. He just never. He's just struggled. He struggles on low grip circuits, which is fair enough. But the mark of a champion, as we've come to see, is when you struggle, you get the best result possible, and that's what the last 5 years Max Verstappen's always done. Lando's done that in the last 5, 6, 7, 8 races. If he hasn't won the race, he's finished second or third, like Vegas. Learned to keep his nose clean. Hamilton's done it in the past. People they get the best result possible. You feel like Oscar hasn't done that.
Oscar, if he wasn't going to be fighting for the win, if that's been Lando or Max running away with it, he needed to be second or third to have any realistic chance of keeping this going. And he's not. He's been, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. And he's been fighting with cars that are quick but aren't on the level of McLaren.
His strength at the start of the season, the middle part of the season, was his qualifying. He put himself first or second every Grand Prix. And then that makes, obviously, the race a lot easier. But for the last 10 races, he's been struggling in qualifying. He hasn't. When was the last time he had a pole? When was the last time he was on the front row? He's almost got a point now in Q3 where you're not expecting him to go to the top of the timesheet.
No, that's it. And you think when you look at the drivers, when you look at the qualifying results, and you see Lando on pole, Max on pole, okay, and then you look down and you see that 5th place, Oscar Piastri. You think, it's not even a shock at this point in the season now. But that in start and middle of the season, he was first and second every Grand Prix of qualifying. He was there, putting the lap in. The last pole he had was where are we? Zandvoort, yeah.
And was his pole? What was his starting positions previous to that? How many was outside the top 2?
I don't know. I can't see the qualifying results, but
very many.
No, it's just let me have a little look see here. But he was Mr. Consistent, wasn't he, in that first half of the year? And I honestly thought that if he was going to drop off, he would basically do like a Jenson Button, and he wouldn't be getting the wins, but he'd be picking up podiums, he'd be picking up strong positions enough just so they could chip away his lead, but they wouldn't be able to overturn it.
I think that's why so many people assumed that was Lando done in the championship, because Oscar was so consistent. You couldn't see Lando winning 4 races and Oscar being nowhere. Oscar was always going to be second or third, but second, because the McLaren was so far ahead of everybody. He was always going to be second, so he was only going to get 8 points extra every race rather than a 20. But Oscar's drop off has been bizarre, really. I know, a crash at Baku could do that, but he shouldn't be knocking him that much.
No, that's it. Okay, so so his last pole was Zandvoort, as we say. Since then, it's been 3rd, 9th, 3rd, 6th, 8th, 4th, 5th. But wow. If you go from Zandvoort back to the start of the season, it was pole, second, third, pole, fourth, second, pole, third, pole, second.
Exactly.
So
Consistency to a T, isn't it? So
yeah, and he's just
Right.
gone off a cliff.
yeah, he's been consistently inconsistent since.
Yeah, and I think if there's a result that has put the final nail in the coffin for him, it's been this DSQ. If he had have still picked up some points, I don't know where was he running? Was he fourth or fifth when he crossed the line?
It's fifth behind Antonelli, I think.
Of course, was third and fourth for the Mercedes, weren't they? Yeah. Had he finished fifth, then okay, he's lost more points, but he's still got a few points over Max. But yeah, to lose all the points, and he's now equal on points with Max Verstappen, who was 104 back.
Yeah, and you know that Red Bull always goes well at Abu Dhabi. That Red Bull has been consistent at all the places that they always are consistent. That Red Bull, like Vegas, they've won before. Other places they've been quick. That's been quick. So I can see Abu Dhabi, possibly Max winning in Abu Dhabi. It all comes down. This weekend is a massive weekend because McLaren were quick here last year. Yeah, well, very quick here last year. They got the sprint and the Grand Prix double, I think, didn't they, with Oscar and Lando?
Yeah.
Well, Oscar who got the double, I think, because Lando let him through, didn't he, on the last lap of the sprint?
Yes, yeah.
But McLaren were dominant last season, so this might be a McLaren track. It should be a McLaren track. But if they falter, crash into each other, whatever, Max is going to go into Abu Dhabi likely first or second in that race because he just does well there.
Abu Dhabi is going to be a Red Bull circuit, particularly Max, obviously. Qatar, I think McLaren will still be the strongest, Lando, namely. So I think it will be a Lando win in Qatar, and he'll get a bit more of an advantage. He can win it this weekend, can't he? There's certain circumstances in which he can win it.
Well, he's only got to finish 2 points ahead of Max and Oscar, isn't he? Because he's 23 points ahead.
Yeah. Yes. 24 points.
24 points ahead.
So if he wins the race, well, depending on what happens in the sprint, if he does well in the sprint and then he wins the race, he's got it. So it's still.
I think winning the sprint is probably more important to Lando than the race at the moment, because that extra point means it's only 1 point ahead of that he needs over the 2 Grand Prix, really. Yeah, it's a big psychological step. If he has a bad result in the sprint, he could be jips might start coming out. But if he comes out and wins that sprint, that puts him in literally almost impossible position to lose.
I would. It's so exciting. I would like to see Lando win the title. I honestly would, because I like seeing different drivers winning the title. You get the same driver that wins it 4 or 5 years in the bounce, whatever. And it's awesome to see this level of success that they have. The level of dominance that Max had. But it's nice to see different drivers fighting for it and winning it, particularly their first title. But as a neutral, it is incredible, because it was like, okay, McLaren are going to win every race this year and they're going to run away with it, and there's going to be just a 2-horse race. And suddenly Red Bull are back in it. Well, Max is back in it.
Without Red Bull's little turnaround mid-season, it would have been a procession again, wasn't it, between the two drivers? But what we said all season is that the lucky thing we had was we had a team with 2 drivers, not a 1-driver team that was been for the last 4 years.
Yeah, but how different would the picture be had Lando not DNF'd in Zandvoort? Had he not hit the back of Piastri in Canada?
Yeah, I think that's where he learned. I think that's what helped him this weekend. He learned that, as the old Martin Brundle saying, first corner, all you can do is lose the race. You can't win the race. Yeah. And sometimes you've just got to take your medicine and make sure you finish the race.
Yeah. And he did, but
obviously Zandvoort wasn't his fault. It was a technical issue. But Canada certainly was a big mistake for him. And even more so now, he'll be going into turn 1 of Qatar with an absolute wide berth of more than a wide thing, because he won't be wanting to get caught up in any shenanigans.
No, Oh, those two on the front row, in whichever order, it's going to be spicy. And there'll be Oscar in fifth. Wait for me. Moving on from the McLaren drama as well. Big surprising news this week that came out a couple of days ago, yesterday, I think. Adrian Newey is going to be the Aston Martin team principal for next year. That was a surprise. Didn't see him stepping in, considering at one point he took more of a role. He stepped back a little bit from his roles at Red Bull. He's now going to be at the forefront of Aston Martin.
That's an interesting one, isn't it? I mean, I never saw that coming, him being the top dog. I mean, and they've realigned Andy Cowell's role, so he's going to more
he's more strategy now. Yeah, so chief strategy or chief strategist.
I never saw Adrian Newey ever wanting to be a team principal. I mean, that seems like more work than he would want to do. You know, he just wants to be in his office drawing F1 cars. But now he's got to be trackside. He's got to do all the, he's heading the team now. So that's. I mean, I've read a lot of people saying that this is possibly a stopgap to a certain Mr. Horner coming in.
I did read that, because of the rumours of Christian Horner being linked.
But I think that's, it might well be. I mean, but why would Adrian Newey want to be in that position of, the stopgap? It just seems a bit bizarre, and it seems like he's given himself a lot more to do, especially when Aston Martin are so heavily reliant on him producing a car for them. It's
a strange one. So is he still going to be designing the cars?
Well,
he'll still be a designer.
From what I read, he's going to be the overall seer of, he's going to have his. Maybe he's already got he's gone for the regs, he's found the loopholes, and he's now just going to be overseeing people delivering those loopholes as such, or delivering what he's found. He's not going to be seeking more out. But that's going to be an ever evolving door, isn't it? With back in the every rule change, people find new things. People, they find different avenues, and you see another team, and you're like, "Oh, we might nick that," and then it's just going to be an interesting dynamic, because I would just never have seen him. He likes to be in the background, doesn't he, with his red book by the car, looking at the car.
Yeah.
But now he's going to have to be doing media duties. He's going to have to be doing this, doing that. Making sure the drivers aren't doing this, doing that. It's bizarre.
It's a strange one. Can you see him having an honest conversation with Lawrence? Be like, look, mate, first things first, we need to talk about the second driver. Because if they're serious about pushing this team forward, Fernando has been dragging that car around to points finishes it probably shouldn't be in. And you would imagine that given a sniff of a car that can finish on the podium next year, Fernando would be the one to do it, as it was back in 2023, certainly for the earlier part of the season. But is Adrian going to say, if you want us to be fighting for the constructors, you don't want to have another Red Bull situation on your hands?
Is this, I had a thought, is this a power move from Lawrence Stroll to get Max Verstappen in that Aston Martin in 27? I know if Christian Horner comes to the team, Max Verstappen won't be anywhere near Aston Martin, but he will for Adrian Newey, and we all know Max has got a big decision next year in regards to his future. Aston Martin will pay him any money he wants. Money is not an issue.
I tell you what, the image of Max Verstappen wearing green after so many years of being in Red Bull colours, it'll be like the first photos of seeing Sebastian Vettel in red.
Yeah,
after so many years of Red Bull.
Red was a weird one. But you think Schumacher was lured back to Mercedes by Ross Brawn? Yeah. Sometimes you have so much success with a certain person that it automatically draws you back, because you're like, well, I'm guaranteed to win with this guy.
That's it. And can you imagine a team with the budget that Aston Martin have for a start, the powerhouse of Max Verstappen in a car designed by Adrian Newey? I mean, 2026, they're not going to be putting up trees, are they? Because it's going to be the first Adrian Newey car, but you can't imagine they would have made
think they've
so
already-
many gains.
I think they've already accepted that next year will be a stepping stone again.
Yeah.
Even though it's a Honda engine, isn't it? No one's expecting. No one knows what to expect from that Honda engine. So you get a feeling that no one's talking about them being one of the teams to be up there. So you get the feeling that no one in the team thinks the engine's going to be good enough to compete with the Mercedes. So
Yeah.
possibly
There's a lot of talk about
Honda.
Mercedes being the team to beat again. The team
Honda
before.
always get it right eventually, but sometimes they take a little while.
And it's the tricky thing is going into next year. I think we spoke about it previously. You've got, I know that the likes of Audi are going to be there, but Ford, will Ford have delivered something good in the back of that Red Bull? So yeah, next year's going to be huge, because if they deliver Max a car which is nowhere near it, like they were at the start of the season, and Adrian Newey and Aston Martin are there going, come on, 2027.
Yeah, exactly.
Fernando Alonso, pains me to say it, he won't be around forever. Just imagine Fernando's last season next year and he goes out with a championship. Take off my green tinted glasses. I'm in such a dilemma. If it was Williams in a good position next year or Fernando, I genuinely don't know. But it was, it's all got to Williams quickly. Carlos Sainz, P5, thanks to that double DSQ. Another good
solid. The old interviews, he thought he could get pole on the old. We haven't talked about the qualifying. How great was qualifying? In we saw the wet weather tyre.
I know. When we saw that, hang on a minute, they're blue. They've got the wets. They're running wet tyres.
They tried their hardest to go out on the intermediate and were like, no, this isn't working.
Yeah, they've sent Lance Stroll out. Lance Stroll's back in.
That killed his qualifying. They were quick on the wet tyre. Why would you go on the intermediate?
Stupid move. Oh dear, but yeah, qualifying was amazing. One of the best of the season. Albon's gone off it the past few races. No points in a number of races now. Binned it again in quali. Stupid error in the race.
This time last year he did it, didn't he? I don't know. Maybe his mental block. That's probably why he'll never be a world champion, in my opinion, because he's not consistent across the year, is he?
No. It's annoying because the start of the year, Albon was really consistent and Sainz was off it, and it's just flipped. The second half of the year, Sainz is on it, Albon's drops. If they had both drivers fighting for those sort of positions, they could be, I wouldn't say pushing P4, but they'd certainly have more of a buffer to P6.
Yeah, it was unlucky in qualifying. He got a snap of oversteer and it went into the wall. In those conditions, it happens, but he's making mistakes a little bit too often, isn't he, in the last couple of Grand Prix?
Yeah, it's getting frustrating. Next year's a big year. Considering the year with Carlos.
He's a good qualifier, isn't he? He's been a good qualifier, but he's been making mistakes in qualifying recently.
Yeah, that's sort of the last bit of his armour, really. But yeah, it was an incredible qualifying. I was amazed there weren't more big smashes because those conditions were atrocious.
I turned it on after watching a little bit of cricket, and I saw it was raining like that, and I was like, it's going to be red, and it's going to be freaking there for 3 hours, aren't we? Come back tomorrow morning. I have to get up at 1 o'clock to watch qualifying or something. But to my surprise, they went out on the wet tyre. They're happy to go. I know they're not happy because they're not warmed, but I quite enjoy the fact that they've got to keep running because different teams take different times to warm those tyres up. The Ferrari doesn't warm them up at all, but it takes them. So you get teams that like Aston Martin who could light them up straight away and were pumping it, and then you got teams like Ferrari and McLaren was taking a little bit of time to get those tyres into a temperature that they can then put a lap in.
Ferrari struggling. Lewis Hamilton becoming the first Ferrari driver to qualify last since Fisichella in 2009.
He was stitched up again, wasn't he? They don't tell him that he's going to make the line. He assumed he didn't make. It's just all poor. It's just happens so often.
Yeah.
He might not be quick enough, but he had another lap in it. Yeah. Charles Leclerc telling him that they're always slow in the wet. They're not quick in the wet.
We had it on the agenda to speak about Hamilton and his comments this week, but we haven't got any time, unfortunately. We'll have to do that for next week. But Yeah, not looking forward to 2026, he says. We'll touch on that next week. But that is us done for this week. So thank you very, very much for watching. You can follow us, of course, on all of the social medias and all of the podcast platforms as well, wherever you get your podcasts. So thank you very, very much for watching. Enjoy the Qatar Grand Prix this weekend. We could see another British world champion. I doubt it, but you never know. Formula One, anything can happen, as we have certainly seen this year. So thank you very much. Have a great week. Enjoy the Grand Prix. I've been Steve. He's been Chris. We'll see you next week. Cheers.